What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today I'm going to be going over my Week 1 power rankings before NFL Week 1 starts tomorrow, where you see a total of 14 games tomorrow. You saw Thursday's night opener with the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. You have Monday night's game with the Jets and the Bills, and I think that it's going to be a very fun Week 1. And even the primetime games later on tomorrow night with the Cowboys and the Giants, and then Monday night, the Jets and the Bills. But I'm going to be going over my 32 power rankings going into Week 1. I'm going to be doing this every week, and wanted to do this before the season started. So I had a before season power rankings. And let's get into it. We're going to go from 32 to 1. I'm going to go a little quick. But I'll get it. So every once in a while, I'll stop and talk about a team. But the first team that is on this list, I'm not going to say one word about them. I'm just going to tell you their name, and that's 32. That I think you could already know who I'm talking about, the Arizona Cardinals. At 31, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is their first year without Tom Brady, who won them a Super Bowl a couple years ago. I think they could be really solid, but I don't want to move them higher until we see something from them. I think you could very well see Tampa Bay winning in Minnesota tomorrow. I think it's a little bit unlikely, but if Baker Mayfield has a good debut, and I don't know if Mike Evans is playing. I know they weren't able to get a contract extension, but if he's playing, I think the Bucs might be able to get a win. But I don't think Mike Evans will play. But the Bucs still have some solid weapons, even if Mike Evans doesn't play. And I think this Vikings defense is not so great. And besides Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, I don't think they have a lot of strengths at offense. Kirk Cousins is getting older. I don't think Alexander Madison's going to be as good as everybody thinks he's going to be. KJ Osborne's all right at wide receiver. I think there's a decent chance if the Bucs defense plays good and Baker plays good, the Bucs definitely could beat Minnesota tomorrow. That's just my opinion. At 30, got the Los Angeles Rams. I hate to put them this low, but there was some hype for them. Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford being back, but Kupp just got put on the IR. And I don't think the Rams are going to be even any better than they were last year. Maybe a little bit better, but the Rams are not going to be pretty this year. And this will probably be Stafford's last year in Los Angeles after winning the Super Bowl a couple years ago. At 29, I got the Indianapolis Colts. I think they should be solid this season. I think they might have a good Week 1 performance. I don't think they'll beat Jacksonville, but I think they might keep it close because they're at home. And I think that you will see the Indianapolis Colts be at 29 in my power rankings. I wouldn't be surprised if you see them a little higher in my Week 2 power rankings, but I think at 29 they were a bad team last year. I think this is where they need to start off, and maybe it can get better down the road. At 28, I got the Las Vegas Raiders. They're going to be terrible this year, and we'll see how they do Week 1 against the Broncos. At 27, I got the Houston Texans. I know they were bad last year, but they have really improved, adding in C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. and D'Amico Ryans and some other pieces to the defense like Sheldon Rankins, Denzel Perryman, and Jimmy Ward. Drafting Tank Dell as well, signing Robert Woods, signing Dalton Schultz and Devin Singletary, two very underrated pickups for this Houston Texans team. This Texans team might have been terrible last year, but they're going to shock a lot of people this year. I think the Texans win 7 or 8 games this year, maybe even 9 if they play some good football and they have some good leadership, which I think they will this season. At 26, I have the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots will not be that very good this year. They're in a hard division. I think they have a solid roster. I just think the problem is they have a hard schedule, and they're in probably the best division in football. And I think the Patriots will be one of the worst teams in the AFC this year. But I'm going to put them at 26. I think all the teams I've listed before the Patriots, definitely the Patriots deserve to be above those teams. But they don't deserve to be any lower. They don't deserve to be any higher than 26. At 25, I have the Atlanta Falcons. I think they'll definitely be higher in my Week 2 power rankings. I think the Atlanta Falcons will beat the Carolina Panthers tomorrow, but we'll see what happens for Bijan Robinson and the Atlanta Falcons. At 24, I have the Tennessee Titans. I think the Tennessee Titans, I don't think this DeAndre Hopkins experiment will work. I don't trust Ryan Tannehill as well. And also, I do not like the Tennessee Titans. So I don't think the Tennessee Titans will be good at all this season. At 23, I have the Chicago Bears. I think the Chicago Bears will be really good this year. But I don't want to put them any higher. And I will maybe put them a little bit higher in Week 2 if my prediction is right and they beat the Green Bay Packers. But they were one of the worst teams in football last year. Yes, they've improved on really everything that they struggled in last season. but I don't want to put them any higher until we see one game of them. At 22, I have the Carolina Panthers, and I think the Carolina Panthers will be really solid. It's going to be great to see Bryce Young make his debut against the Falcons tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes. At 21, I have the Green Bay Packers. It's going to be the Packers' first game without Aaron Rodgers. I like Jordan Love. I don't think the Packers are going to win them all, especially without wide receiver Christian Watson, but I think the Packers will be better than people think this year. At 20, I have the Denver Broncos. I know I said with the Bears, I mean, they were terrible last year, and I don't want to move them too high, but the Bears were worse than the Broncos were last year at times, and I think the Broncos have really improved, and I think the Broncos are definitely going to beat the Raiders week 1. At 19, I have the Commanders. I mean, it's going to be the biggest blowout of week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Commanders will shock a lot of people. I think Sam Howell's going to have a really good season at quarterback. At 18, I have the New Orleans Saints. I think they will win the NFC South, and I think 18 is a good start for the year for them. At 17, I have the Cleveland Browns. I could definitely see them jumping higher with potentially getting a week 1 win over the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think Cleveland is a very underrated team going into the 2023 season. At 16, I have the New York Giants. I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year, but they do have a solid team, adding in Darren Waller. And also adding in Isaiah Simmons at linebacker. At 15, I have the Minnesota Vikings. Only reason I have them in the top 15 is because they won their division a year ago. But I think the Vikings will not be good at all this year. I don't think they'll win the division. I think that will go to either the Chicago Bears or the Green Bay Packers, or the Detroit Lions. Of course, those are the other teams in the division. But I think the division will most likely go to the Chicago Bears, or the Detroit Lions. And I don't think the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Minnesota Vikings are one of the most overrated teams in the NFL. At 14, I have the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks will be higher eventually at some point in the season, and especially in week 2. But I think this week one matchup for them, I just feel like there's a lot of teams, ahead of them that deserve to be over the Seahawks. At 13, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to be a great team to watch this year. I actually think they'll beat the 49ers at home tomorrow. At 12, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 12. They won the division a year ago, and they're going to be a great team this year. At 11, I have the Baltimore Ravens. At 10, I have the Detroit Lions after beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the opening kickoff. At 9, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. At 8, I have the Dallas Cowboys. At 7, I have the New York Jets. We'll see how they do in their first game of the season on Monday night. At 6, I feel like this might be a little too high, but I have the Miami Dolphins. At 5, I have the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. I wanted to keep them in the top 5, even though they lost their first game of the season to the Detroit Lions. They were missing Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, but still, they played a sloppy game, and Detroit wasn't even playing the best football either, and they still lost that game. And Mahomes didn't look that great either. And I think there are 4 teams that deserve to be over the Kansas City Chiefs, and here they are. At 4, I have the Buffalo Bills. At 3, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. And at 2, I have the San Francisco 49ers. And at 1, I have the team that the Chiefs beat in the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles. That is what my power rankings look like going into the rest of week 1 tomorrow and Monday. You guys let me know your thoughts on my power rankings. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out.